Hello, Blue Justin here, still Justin, still not blue, and it's time for another video, and this one's a haul video. As I mentioned before, I'm going to be doing quite a few haul videos that are based on my imports, because there are lots and lots of fantastic YouTubers out there who are giving you all the information on the weekly releases in the UK, and I really can't compete or keep up with them, especially because I'm not particularly going out. So I thought, well, if I concentrate on the import ones, that's stuff that you're less likely to have seen. So I shall start off with, well, some of you might be here because the recent video by Kermit's Ghost, I sent him a copy of Dangerous Animals because I'd upgraded, so I will show you the upgrade, which is from the US. You can't get the 4K Steelbook or 4K at all, I don't think. In the UK there isn't one, so I'll put the image for the regular Blu-ray from the UK up there, and this is the 4K that I got from the US, which I think is a much better looking image, as well as being a Steelbook, and anyone who follows me will know I'm a total sucker for Steelbooks. So yeah, we've got the boat and of blood in the shark's fin, so actually quite well put together for a cover, I think. It's got it's a 2-disc jobby, it's 4K plus a Blu-ray, and it's got some stickers in there for extras on top of the usual any extras that are on there, although I'm not sure that there are that many. It doesn't seem to indicate there are a lot, but anyway, yeah, R-rated. That's the Steelbook upgrade that of the item that I sent to Kermit's Ghost, and I was very glad that he enjoyed watching the film, because I haven't had a chance to myself yet. One thing I will say is that if you go to, you can get this through Amazon UK, and I had a look and it costs about £32 or something like that, or £40, depending on which particular Steelbook you get. Whether, I don't know whether or not there's a difference between a US and a Canadian or something like that. But because I went through my importer Stackry, not a sponsor, I got this at the actual US price, obviously plus Stackry putting all these things together for me and putting them in a box and sending them. And obviously I'm supposed to get charge VAT on top, but I will go into that in a moment. And that only cost me, when you consider it's a 4K Steelbook, $17.99. So just proof were even more needed that the UK is being ripped off left, right and centre when it comes to 4K prices. Okay. Right, I'll put that one down over there and out the way, and get on with the rest of my Stackry imports. And as I was saying, I'll just quickly mention the VAT. If you don't prepay the VAT, which you should be able to do if it's less than £135 total value of items, then when it hits the border, then they should put 20% VAT on it and charge you that before they send it to your house. They have every right to do that, and you should always prepare for them doing that, and I always do. But in fact, the last 8 or 9 deliveries I've had now, they've gone straight through, especially I started noting that when I started using FedEx instead of Global Express, who are usually within $1 of each other on the price to send. and it seems to vary which one's cheaper actually, so it doesn't seem to matter which one I choose most of the time. And because I think it's potentially because the FedEx gets it from America to the Netherlands and then the Netherlands to the UK. I don't know whether that makes a big difference rather than it coming in direct on a pallet. But I've also had ones that with Global Direct that have gone through without me receiving any information saying we'd like some VAT and a penalty payment for paying it on your behalf. And it seems to be a thing of if you actually keep it below the import, not limit, but the amount you should be able to pay before they send it, even if you don't, then, which is £135, then it seems to get straight through. But don't rely on my word for it. So anyway, what you actually are here for is looking at what I've imported, and first up is a modern Western with a martial arts twist. And I know it's a martial arts twist, and I know some people will know this person instantly, and that's Black Creek. Not a hugely well-known Western release, but anyone who's a fan of Cynthia Rothrock should know it. Great female martial artists, Queen of Martial Arts, who's actually been in the UK on a tour recently. She actually produced and got crowdfunded this, and I believe it's successful enough to have a Black Creek 2 on the way as we speak. So yeah, really looking forward to watching this across between, like I said, Western martial arts, and she stars in it along with, I think it's Richard Norton, and I believe Richard Norton's last film before he sadly passed away recently. They were good friends as well as, and I think he was in the first movie I ever saw of hers. So there you go. So yeah, Black Creek. Looking forward to seeing that. Next up, I'm starting to Blu-ray up some of the DVDs that I've had in the past of classic cartoons, and the first one of these that I've gone with is Tom and Jerry. This is the anthology of the golden era, which is 1940 to 58. On DVD I do have 1940 to, I think it goes on to about 61 or something, but I agree with them. The animation style slightly changes after 58, and they're not as good. And I would agree with this that 40 to 58 is the golden era, and I'm very, very happy for having that as all of my Tom and Jerry's all in one Blu-ray set. So excellent, happy with that. So yeah. Next up, this one's an anime release. I think it hit the UK recently, and it's a brand new release, and it did appear on a couple of people's channels when it hit the shops. But what we didn't get in the UK, as is usual with an anime series or something like that, especially an older one which is now getting a release on Blu-ray, what we'll get is a nicely, well, not nicely, but an overpriced, because it's anime, especially if it's got English dub, thing that goes on the shelf. And however, I decided if I was going to pay a lot, I'd pay a lot for something I really liked, and this is Vinay in gold, and I got the Steelbook from the US, and of course no way did we get this Steelbook. So yeah, sounds a lot of fun. Magic student, not much luck at summoning, ends up summoning Succubus, which is very, very handy because she's extremely powerful and he keeps on getting bullied by the bigger kids with dragons as pets and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a sort of like comedy, rompy type thing. I think there's a bit of romance involved, erotic farce type thing. Yeah, that's the outer slip, which is partly sealed, I think, and that's the Steelbook. Back of the Steelbook, and back of the plastic slip. So yeah, I was very, very happy to get that. Certainly in Canada it's a 14 rated, mature audiences in the US, and it's region A locked, I believe, for anyone who's thinking of trying to go for imports of anime steelbooks, of which the US have quite a few that we only ever got on regular Amarays, of course. Next one is quite basic, simple. I believe I saw it on one of Big Paulie's video hunts, except he was just wandering down the aisle and said, oh, that's a vaguely interesting looking DVD that has Bill Paxton and Lawrence Fishburne in it, and of course in the UK it's a DVD, but if you go to the US you can get a Blu-ray. In actual fact, I think the Colony, I think you can get this on a Blu-ray from Germany as well, or Europe, but don't hold me to that, and I'll just confirm it or not up here. So yeah, but looks like nice little near future things going wrong. Savage, unrelenting thriller about mankind's greatest enemy himself. Endless winter engulfs the earth. Struggle for survival. Dangerous mission, etc. Desolate base. Mankind's salvation or annihilation. Yep. And looks good acting. Good acting. Hopefully there with those actors. Next up, this is a 4K Steelbook. I recently saw for the first time, or relatively recently saw for the first time, Twisters 4K, which I know was not really a sequel, though it did reference back to the original Twister movie, which I hadn't seen. And I really enjoyed it much more than I thought I would, to be perfectly honest. But people did say that the original Twister movie was better, so I thought I must track that down at some point. So I did in the end, and I picked up the limited edition US 4K of Twister. As you can see, as per usual, you have to have the flying cow somewhere. So I'll just take that out. As you can see, I've opened this, and that's more flying cows on the back. I watched this movie only either last weekend or the weekend before last, so that's why it is now out of its packaging, or out of its wrap. So there you go. And yeah, I really enjoyed that one as well. I think I probably even have enjoyed the second one less, if I'd seen that one first, even though I would have related more to some of the things they were doing. I would have realised how many ideas that the second one took almost verbatim from the first, and therefore replayed the same sequences to a certain extent with different characters, maybe with different motivations in certain ways. But it was I would have thought maybe the second one was less original if I'd seen this one before I'd seen that one. But anyway, yeah, so here's another one that we got a 4K of, I believe, but I don't think we got a 4K Steelbook. That's a familiar sound from me, isn't it? Yeah, 4K Steelbook wins the day. And that is, despite the fact it's not the greatest of covers, it is nicely debossed with an embossed title, and that's Spinal Tap 2. As you can see, we've got the Stonehenge look, but that's guitar stock and with pegs there. Very nice. The End Continues. What a fantastic subtitle for Spinal Tap 2. This, as you can see, like I said, 4K Steelbook. Looking forward to watching this. I think I'll rewatch the first one before I do, and it's not got a heck of a lot of else apart from the Steelbook, and except for deleted scenes. That's the only bonus I think that's on there, which is a shame. But other than that, it's got a, like I said, you can see that I'm trying to avoid too much reflection, but debossing around the black, or like embossing of the red, and then there's the title. That's got embossing on it too, which is rather well done. Happy with that. Next up, and I would like to thank AJ for putting me onto this one on AJ's Movie Place. Thank you very much. Yes, this did actually get a UK release, and I wasn't expecting it to. The UK release was announced well after I actually ordered this, and in the US, so it was too late for me to cancel it. I did get this. These are coming through, by the way, from earlier in the year. These aren't necessarily recent arrivals. So yeah, and this is the 4K, which we didn't get. We only got the Blu-ray of Primitive War. Must say that this is it's a much better cover than the UK. B, it's a 4K. So obviously, yeah, I wanted to go for that. I believe the extras are the same: commentary, behind the scenes footage, and gallery. There's some trailers. It's surprisingly long for what you think. Oh well, a B movie, they normally come out at around about hour and a half, hour and 40 at the most. In actual fact, this one is over 2 hours long, 2 hours 10, something like that. But if I'm totally honest, when I was watching, I really didn't notice the time go by that much. It was pretty action-packed from start to finish. Very minor anachronisms for the Vietnam equipment and things occasionally I spotted because I was looking for the movie, but only because I always look for anachronism in war films and things like that, because that's the kind of person I am. But yeah, apparently based on a series of books, and people who have read the books are very pleased with the way it's been adapted. So obviously that's always bodes well. The fans of the book are also pleased with the adaptation for a film, especially given that it was a very low budget, relatively speaking. It came out around the same time as Jurassic World Rebirth, is it? The latest one with Scarlett Johansson. And I must say, I'm with AJ from AJ's Movie Place, and I would say I enjoyed this more. I'm more likely to rewatch this one, and the budget for this was between 25 and 30 times less than the Jurassic World movie. Take the Jurassic World movie, divide the budget by 25, and they did a fantastic job with this. To be fair, they weren't on exactly the same audience. This one is obviously aimed at a more adult audience, rather than the child-friendly script. There's a lot more blood and gore in this one, which appealed to me anyway. And in actual fact, a lot of people are saying that this is, at its basis, a horror movie rather than an action dinosaur adventure movie. I wouldn't necessarily go that far, but it's a very fine line to tread sometimes. Is, for example, is Predator a horror movie to a certain extent? Soldiers trapped in a jungle being hunted, creatures out there, etc. If you think there's any chance it might be, then well, maybe this is doing a similar job with, except it's not just one creature, it's multiple dinosaurs in the Vietnam era that have come into our world through a rather nifty MacGuffin. It's a bit bonkers, but you just go with it on that bit of the film. Occasionally a bit too much exposition explaining that, but other than that, like I said, action-packed, back to front, fantastic. Really enjoyed that one, much more than I thought. Next up, we got this is a 4K Steelbook. It's animated, but it's not anime. This is, I think it's a US film called The Spine of Night. Epic fantasy tale about the history of a land that never was, when a person seeking forbidden knowledge or falling to darker temptations and unleashing ages of suffering onto mankind, and people try to stop him, and there are lots of, I think, vignettes throughout of their interaction in them doing so. Voices on here include Richard E. Grant, Lucy Lawless, and Betty Gabriel. I don't know that one, but obviously I know Richard E. Grant and Lucy Lawless. Described by on the phone as one of the sickest, coolest, most mind-bending animated films we've seen. So looking forward to that one. Yeah, intoxicating, striking, and visceral are the another 3 words by different reviews on the back. You've got a making of and some short films. So yeah, really, yeah, that'd be really interesting when I get that one opened. And I do like that artwork; it's really nice. Oh, I must mention, I was going to, the one thing that is a shame about the 4K of Primitive War is that though it's 4K, it doesn't have HDR, which is usually the major component that makes a difference, especially on smaller TVs, so be aware of that. But obviously you do get the 4K increase in detail. Next up, another nasty little, well, it's not that nasty, it's horror movie from the US, and this one is one I saw ages and ages ago. In actual fact, I saw it when I fell ill with a brain tumour on holiday, and this was after they worked out I was okay enough to discharge from hospital, but the insurance company was waiting to fly me home, so they had to put me up in they put us up in a cheap hotel, and we saw it going into a Greek cinema because it was on and it was cheap. But that's World War Z. The downside of me seeing it for that first time by the way, was that when they're speaking Russian in here, obviously, or any other worldwide language, and that does happen quite a bit because they do have the original people from those countries speaking their own languages and then putting the subtitles on in English, etc. Of course, being in a Greek theatre, I got subtitles in Greek, so I had to sort of guess what was going on for those bits. So that was good fun. This is, I think, a really nice cover. I don't think we've got anything like that Steelbook cover in the UK. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below. It's got a UK theatrical cut, Disc 2 Blu-ray theatrical cut, and Disc 3 Blu-ray is the unrated extended cut. So unfortunately no 4K of the extended cut, but it does have Dolby Vision, sadly only DTS HD Master Audio 5.1, but not too bad. Lots of extra features on becoming a zombie, the score, the featurette, how to survive, a few featurettes, origins, looking to science, production, documentary, journey begins, and on the extended cut there's some more specific extras to do with the Denver, Colorado Denver Film Festival. So that's going to be interesting little watches. But, okay, there you go. That's above the image, which I think is really good. Bit different. I normally get to that one. Reaching further towards the end now, and what do you know? It's another 4K Steelbook. This is a limited edition of the 4K of The Ring. Now, obviously, there are fans of Ringu that say that the remake isn't as good, but there are also people who like Ringu, the original, and say that they actually did a very, very good job on this occasion of remaking it for the US, which they, let's face it, often don't when they change Japanese or any other or European horror. They take the story and then translate it to the US, and it just doesn't work. But I've been told, or I understand, this one is a pretty good standalone film, even if you do like the original. And you can. There are plenty of people who very much enjoy both. And by the way, I really like that. It's very simple, but it works for me. I still say two things. 4K with also the Blu-ray and special features, which are the cost, filmmaker interviews, and some featurettes. The origin of terror. So yeah, and it includes digital. So that'll be being passed on probably to Ray Lee's Movies and Media when I open it. So yeah, that's The Ring. Totally interrupting my 4K stream with a DVD now. Though this isn't a specific recommendation of Hordes of Horror, and I can't actually find that she's put it down as she's watched it in Letterboxd, though it might have been before she started logging everything, I don't know. In my comments section when we were talking after I did my Hordes bingo video last year, I was suspected that one of the movies that I watched that she didn't like was Lesbian Vampire Killers, and she said that in passing that she much preferred this one, which she still was a 34 Zombies versus Strippers. So I thought I'd pick it up to check it out. It was a reasonably cheapish buy on eBay, which again I sent, because it was a US one, I could have it sent to Stackry to be put together. I've noticed so many of the eBay titles you can get a lot cheaper because I can send them to Stackry for direct, and quite often internal to the US it's got free shipping. But if I have them sent to the UK from a US source from eBay, the price will shoot up from something like $9.99 to $23 before it actually reaches me in the UK. Absolutely bonkers. So anyway, yeah, this was one that I had sent, Zombies versus Strippers DVD, and it looks like it's going to be very, very silly. It's got making of, it's got promo, it's got another couple of other promos from the company that made it. It's R-rated, Full Mean Productions. I think I've got a couple of their movies actually. Yep, and it's going to probably be a lot of silly fun. Last one up is one that I can't say, again, I have seen Horde talk about it, I've seen her review. I can't say it's a direct recommendation, that's why I picked it up, but I can say that given it was a clown film that she didn't actually give 1 star because she hates clowns, apart from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, then I'm thinking possibly can't be the worst movie out there. You know, it seems to come out about an average-ish score. I found this one, and it didn't get this nice release in the UK that it did in the US, and that's Clown in a Cornfield, and that's the 4K Steelbook. Again, I don't know if you can see that, but the title there is embossed, and I do quite like that image. So yeah, I thought I'd just pick that up, see what I thought, and it's a pretty darn reasonable price when you consider it's a 4K Steelbook, I'll tell you that. So again, probably about just over £20 for a 4K Steelbook. Just a little bit of import and some bubble wrap. So obviously massively cuts down on the VAT and import charges by doing it consolidated together by Stackry. So, and that is it for today. If you liked looking at some of those imports, because they're a little bit different than the stuff that you might be able to pick up in the high street, because you seem to get a lot less 4Ks and certainly a lot less 4K Steelbooks on lesser well-known items, and sometimes we don't get the Blu-ray, we only get the DVD or something, like with Colony. Yeah, please like and subscribe. I'll be back with more very, very soon, and if you do that, it really does help the channel, and I really would appreciate it. And any comments, please put them in the comment section down below, and I will reply as I always do. And thank you very much for watching, and bye.